Hey everybody, it's Innes McVeigh of Inside the Ropes here, and I am very excited to be joined by a man you may know from Ring of Honor, New Japan Strong, his band God's Hate, or the House of Black in AEW. It's Brody King. Brody, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So to start off, there was a pretty crazy video I saw a couple of days ago that I kind of just have to ask you about right away, where you threw Darby Allin off the stage into a mosh pit at a Code Orange gig. How did that all come about? Whose idea was it? Tell me all about it.
So I'm really good friends with the band Code Orange, and they were playing in Baltimore the same night that we uh, had gotten into town. So they had us at the show, and I had done like a guest vocal spot for Code Orange, and like afterwards, like Darby, like, he's like, "Hey, throw me into the stage, or throw me into the crowd." I said, "Okay." So during their last song, I gorilla pressed them and threw them into the crowd. It's actually not that complicated.
Simple, easy.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you have a big weekend coming up at Capital Collision this weekend facing Minoru Suzuki. You challenged him back at Windy City Riot a couple of weeks ago. What was your kind of mindset in laying down a challenge to him specifically?
Uh, I feel like as far as like the big bad guys of New Japan, he's probably one of the biggest. So, if I want to be big bad Brody King, I got to go up against the biggest and baddest. So, I went through Ishii. Unfortunately, I did not catch the win there, but I feel like I had a hard fought match with him, and now it's time to test myself against Minoru Suzuki.
Well, hopefully you're victorious because I mean, I imagine if you beat Suzuki, that would put you in contention for the strong open weight title. And obviously, there's history there with you and Tom Lawlor. Could we maybe see you try to avenge the loss last year to Tom now with a title challenge in the future?
I mean, I've definitely had a storied past with Team Filthy and Tom Lawlor. We've fought so many times since then, but I think that it's always within reach for me and him to collide again.
Of course. And obviously, talking about, obviously, you've got a lot going on with AEW at the minute, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I saw you talk a few days ago about how you've got creative freedom with what you're doing in House of Black and AEW. How does the sort of creative environment of New Japan compare to that? Do you have the sort of same freedoms there?
Uh, I mean, I wouldn't say it's creative freedom. It's just like, well, I guess it's creative freedom. They just, within reason, they let you kind of take an idea and see where you can go with it. I feel like New Japan is different in a way where it's very much about the wrestling. It's very much sport based. Most storylines happen within the wrestling ring, and it's up to you to convey those stories and to have these matches to where people want to see, Brody King versus Minoru Suzuki. So if you have it in you to, tell these stories, like, there was times where me and JR Kratos went head to head in a couple 6-man tag team matches. And then people were saying, we want to see Brody King versus JR Kratos. And then they put that out there. So it's building these little stories within the matches that I feel like is a special part of New Japan.
Totally. And obviously, with New Japan Forbidden Door coming up, we've seen a couple of AEW people head over to New Japan Strong. John Moxley recently, The Factory. There's obviously links between you and Buddy Matthews to New Japan Strong. Could we maybe see the House of Black in New Japan Strong sometime in the future?
I would love for the House of Black to be in New Japan. Whether it be in Japan or here for Strong, I think that would be a really cool thing to happen. And I feel like there's so many matchups that can happen that, would really blow people away.
Do you have a specific matchup in mind for House of Black against a certain team?
I feel like House of Black versus LIJ or House of Black versus Suzuki Gun would be really awesome.
Of course, I can imagine. Well, speaking of Forbidden Doors, obviously we've got the Forbidden Door pay-per-view coming up next month, AEW New Japan working together. As someone who wrestles for both, what was your kind of reaction when you first heard the announcement?
I mean, I was excited. I think that it's really awesome, and I feel like it's really an exciting time to be a wrestler and to be a fan. I mean, there's so many things and so many matches that can happen now that you never thought were possible before, and so many people are working together to put wrestling in such a better place than it was before, and I feel like it's just overall very exciting.
Do you have like a particular dream match or something you'd like to see? Obviously, you've faced Ishii and you're facing Suzuki. Is there someone else in New Japan you'd maybe want to face at Forbidden Door?
I mean, I don't know about Forbidden Door, but a dream match I have is definitely against Shingo Takagi.
Totally. Yeah, I can see that. Well, speaking of AEW, obviously you and the House of Black were on this week's Dynamite, and there was a segment this week where some fans kind of criticized it for how the trigger wasn't pulled with Julia Hart lately, one way or the other, after the build over the last 6 months. What's your kind of take on those reactions with how the story's unfolded?
You know, I feel like the fans want instant gratification at all times, and they get frustrated when they have to wait for it. But then once, you know, it all pans out and you finally see the finished product and why these things were happening, then they go, oh, and then they get to go do these callbacks on all these little Easter eggs and hints that they were given along the way. And I feel like, you know, if we watched Endgame, Marvel Endgame, before we saw, you know, 20 movies before that, and Thanos just got defeated, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like they get you invested and they get you to this point where you have to wait for it and you want it and you're just dying for it. And then it finally happens and you're like, yes, that is why I waited this long for it. So, you know, not to say that this is as complex as that, but I feel like wrestling is at times missing that, you know, making the fans wait for it, making them literally beg for it, and you know, at times criticize it because they're not getting it. You know, my 3-year-old, when he wants ice cream and I tell him he's got to wait for dinner, he's going to yell at me until he gets it. But then when he gets it, he's happy about it. So
yeah, totally. Well, House of Black's seems to be keep growing and keep growing. Obviously, Matthews joined recently. You guys seem to be targeting Julia Black. Is there anyone else in either AEW, New Japan, or anywhere else you'd kind of think would fit in with the group quite well?
You know, we always say that we don't pick the members of the House of Black, the house picks for them. So I feel like time will tell. And if that time comes where somebody, you know, is ready for it, then it will happen. Until then, I feel like we have a very good core group with Buddy, Malachi, and myself. And, you know, whoever comes from that, I feel like will be in just as high of a caliber.
So to cap us off, I have a mixture of some weird and wonderful quick fire questions for you. So with you being the front man of God's Hate and all that, I feel like it's only fitting to start with, if you could only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh boy.
I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
Man, this is a hard question. Let's go with Billy Joel Vienna.
Good choice. What's your treat meal?
I mean, anything and everything. I love food.
What's your favorite video game?
Currently Call of Duty Warzone is just sucked me in completely. I think of all time, probably Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Good choice. What would you be watching if you had a day of Netflix and chill?
We just started Severance, so
right.
I think that is that's on the docket for at least the next few days.
What movie have you seen the most?
Probably Beetlejuice.
Gotcha.
That's like my all-time favorite movie, and I don't know. I feel like every time I watch it, there's just something new that pops out to me that makes me laugh even harder.
Totally. What actor would play you in a movie about your life?
I've always been told that without a beard, I resemble Jason Segel, so probably him.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. What's your secret talent?
You got me. I don't know. I guess being able to balance all these things in my life and somehow, you know, still wake up with a smile on.
Fair enough. Now, this one's slightly controversial, I will warn you. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Love it. Love it.
Excellent. Good. Brilliant. What's your favorite band aside from your own?
Terror.
What 3 items would you take if you were stuck on a desert island?
A shovel. What is it, like a strike pad, like a match strike pad?
Yeah.
And Let's go with a cup, like a plastic cup. I feel like that would be very useful.
Very practical outlook. I like it. If you weren't a wrestler, what would you be?
I don't know, a ditch digger. I don't know.
What wrestling match do you rewatch the most?
I would probably still be an electrician for the film industry.
Fair. What wrestling match do you rewatch the most?
Kenta Kobashi and Kinsuke Sasaki, 2005 Noah.
Ooh, gotcha. What's your pre-match ritual?
I don't really have one. I think it's just kind of try to get into the mindset of like be as aggressive and opposing as possible. I don't really have like a warm up. I do some like push-ups and do some band workouts, but that's about it. I don't have any like in-depth crazy like oh wow, I can't believe, why is Brody over there yelling at himself? I don't do stuff like that.
Fair enough. Who's the biggest locker room prankster in either AEW or New Japan?
Prankster. Ricky Starks is a pretty good prank guy. Bryan Danielson is, I would say he's like the funniest person at AEW. In New Japan, Shota is a pretty good prankster. He's very funny. I feel like he always has something going on. And
interesting.
I think he's usually the one that people go to for the jokes.
What's your most annoying habit?
I don't know. Probably ask my wife. she'll probably know more than I will.
Who was your wrestling idol growing up?
My wrestling idol growing up was The Undertaker.
Who's your all-time dream opponent?
Chris Hero.
Who would be guests at your dream dinner party?
I just got asked this question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is it multiple people or just one?
Let's say multiple. Let's say 3.
Okay, so I just said Malcolm X, Lady Gaga, and Henry Rollins.
Amazing. What's your guilty pleasure?
See, I don't believe in guilty pleasures because I feel like you shouldn't feel guilty about anything that you enjoy.
Fair.
But I do love like Euro dance music.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Finally, the last one. What's the weirdest fan request you've ever had?
I always think it's weird when fans want me to chop them. I don't understand it at all.
Does that happen a lot?
It happens all the time. And then I feel like when it, in the cases that it does happen, they like want to act like they're tough and they're just like, thank you. And they just like go off and they're just like, you can see like a piece of them died inside, but they like don't want to show me that it hurts.